Good morning, everyone. This is Ron. Sunday morning, a little after 11 a.m. So we'll go ahead and get started. See if we have any questions. Last few weeks, we have been discussing history and that history of the African and how that ties to our search for truth, knowing who we are and maybe that's a good place to begin today. I don't think we can say this too many times. Uh, if Pastor is with us or George or whoever wants to do this, talk about uh, truth versus religion and why this journey is necessary. Can someone do that for us?
I'll do it.
Thank you.
Truth versus religion. I see religion as being, religion and truth rather, as being related to the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The knowledge of the tree of good and evil is actually dysfunctionality and functionality. And truth allows us to function as we were created to function. And religion is dysfunctional in that it's sprinkled with a little bit of truth and a whole lot of nothing. And one thing that's evident in it is how the writers deal with Maat. The writers deal with Maat as being a goddess, something that is worshipped by the, as they put it, Egyptians, and we know better than that. When in essence, you cannot differentiate Maat from what we call the Holy Spirit. So it is the Holy Spirit, as we've been taught, that guides us into all truth. And so it is with Maat. Religion says that anything of Egyptian origin is pagan. And religion also says that there is a place called heaven and a place called hell, where there's a differentiation between people based upon what they do. And these principles of do's and don'ts are predicated on philosophical beliefs of the Greeks and the Catholics. Has nothing to do with the scriptures as they were originally written at all. So when I look at the religion and truth, what I see is enlightenment and manipulation. Religion is manipulation, and truth is enlightenment. And the purpose of the truth is to show us how to maintain our resonance with the universe, and to show us how we are to interact with each other as well as the earth itself. The truth also shows us that you have the opportunity and choice to live as you choose to. However, there are consequences to that. And religion tells us that we don't have that kind of a choice. If we make that choice, then we are to be separated, or we are to be discarded as a person. We see that when we look at how the church, regardless of whether it is Protestant or Catholic, or whether it is Islam or Judaism, it doesn't matter. if you do anything that is contrary to what the ecclesiastical bodies of those religions say that you are to do, then you are cast out as opposed to being pulled closer. So you will be able to find the truth within yourself and live accordingly, which in essence puts us in balance with the universe. Does that help, Ron?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it does. I don't think we can uh, discuss that enough and just remind everyone of where we are and why we're on this journey. Uh, and just kind of supports what we're doing. So thank you. And and I think even if someone's new on here with us, it'll kind of catch them up or bring them up to speed as to what we're doing and why. So thank you. Is there anyone else on that topic of looking at religion and truth, of versus truth? Anyone else have a comment or want to follow up anything?
Yeah. And this is Nick for everybody on the phone. Good morning.
Good morning.
One of the important distinctions is that religion, for the most part, is something that is imposed from without. So it is an external thing that is you encounter in some way. Whereas truth, or the process by which we learn what truth is and learn how to go after it, spirituality, is something that is sought from within, and it cannot be compelled. It cannot be forced. It is only something that you realize you have a desire for within, and then you learn how to pursue that desire in a way that results in change and growth. So if it is compelled or forced from without, then that is very likely a sort of characteristic of religion, and it is something that you feel from within and desire to follow and learn and grow as a result of that desire. Then that is a characteristic of your spirituality awakening, or sense of desire for spirit or truth. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your input, Nick. Anyone else?
Good morning. This is Barbara.
Good
Based
morning.
on what Pastor and hello.
Hello.
Based on what Pastor Nick has said, then for those still grappling with the difference between truth and reality. Hello.
You're still on.
Hello. Okay. For those grappling with the difference between those, then truth never tells you that you're nothing, have nothing, are nothing, will be nothing. It just is. And if we grasp that we are, then there's nothing to denigrate us, whereas religion separates. It plies us with the woulda, shoulda, coulda, all the kinds of things. And it says that if we fall, that's a permanent fall. Whereas truth says, if you miss the mark, get up, internalize it, and try to hit the mark the next time. Try to be who you are. That you are never ever left to hang dry with no options. There are always options with truth. Whereas religion bottles you up, and as Nick said, with this external imposition of rules and laws, etc., it tries to keep you within the boundaries of those rules and laws. And if you step foot out, you're liable to lose a foot, or you're liable to whatever. But religion never does. I'm sorry, truth never does that. Truth if you don't miss the mark in one way, and you're diligent, and your desire is the search for who you are, truth always has an opening. It always opens us up to opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And hopefully it reinforces what we're studying and where we are. And for anyone else who may have had questions, I hope we have answered them for you. Because I know we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks and just want to make sure we all stay on the same page. Okay, so I hope that this discussion so far has helped to look at where we are and why this is necessary that we take this journey. As usual, we talked yesterday about going into the 42 affirmations, but like as we usually do, we start off with questions. So I want to see if we have any questions on anything that has been discussed in the past or anything you may have seen the last day or so. Questions or comments?
Ron,
Yes, sir.
you mentioned the affirmations. I know that they are found in various places on the internet. But the source that I had, I was looking for my book on oh God, what is it? The Egyptian Book of the Dead.
Yes.
That's what I was looking for because it goes in depth with the 42 affirmations, and the way that that they are presented is with the salutation. However, I think it would maybe we should just read the message. For example, the first one says, "Hail Usheka Nimt, who comes from Anu. I have not sinned. I have not committed sin." I think that rather than read the salutation, we look at "I have not committed sin" and "I have not committed robbery with violence," that kind of stuff. If we look at those, I think it'll be a lot easier than using the salutations from them. Because the salutations are simply speaks to a spiritual entity that is connected with each one of these affirmations. I think also that we be cautious about our sources because of the way Egyptologists have manipulated the spiritual history of the kingdom of the Kushite, attributing it to Egyptians when there were no such people as Egyptians. They were Kushites. I think that distinction is important.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
I have a
Ma'am.
question. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
ma'am. No, ma'am. Go ahead.
Could you explain the difference or subtlety between law, commandment, and affirmations?
A law and a commandment is something that's forced upon you.
Okay.
And keeping with what Nick said about religion. An affirmation is you reaffirming who you are. Is you being aware of who you are, and an affirmation is a continuous reminder of that. And that is the reason they had to read them twice a day.
Okay.
The affirmations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good question, though. Thank you. Anyone else before we go into them?
That's why, according to Jewish legend, the first version of the Ten Commandments was a set of positive affirmations, not a set of, in the sort of second version, not a set of laws to be followed in that sense. that we've been just describing.
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
don't know. I don't know if anybody's mentioned this or not, but when we're talking about truth, when we're talking about these 42 affirmations, we always say how things resonate with us.
Hmm.
So truth will do that. It will tickle something in your inner self. So that's how you can really know if it is truth or not, because it will resonate. It may bring you to a place of uncomfortability or a place of ecstasy or bliss. But either way, it's going to resonate with you somehow.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks.
And also, Audrey, this is George in Philly. Also, it speaks about, the importance of our morals and values, not so much in terms of just, the laws, but being able to appreciate the truth, of fact, the truth, again, of integrity. And I think that part of these affirmations were written, not so much in terms of just it being something of a commandment, but just knowing, what is righteousness, in your heart, your intuitive instinct in terms of you knowing for yourself, you know what I mean, in terms of being able to not be judgmental of others, but being able to know what's right in your heart. So I think, the truth in terms of the principle, relates to that honesty and that integrity, that I think we all, are seeking as we come on the call when we talk about being seekers of truth. So I just wanted to just expound on what you said, Audrey, and everyone else. Thank you for letting me share those thoughts. I'm done.
Thank you, George. Thank both of you. I tell you what, I agree with what you guys have said, especially about how truth resonates with you. I'm going to read these and let's talk about something for just a second. Explain something, Reverend. Just as we use the New American Standard, we came on the New American Standard version of the Bible, trying to figure out, searching for what is lines up more with what the Bible, the original version, was saying. So that's how we came up with that version. That's why most of us use that version, as opposed to using King James or something else that we grew up using. This book, George sent me a book called Spirituality Before Religion, and this, I'm going to read the affirmations from this, because I think, especially from looking at them online, this may be along those same lines, how this was originally written. Because there are others out there who have, people love to interpret things and put a spin on it, and it looks and it sounds right, and it, just in somebody else's words. So I'm going to read probably about the first 5 of these, and then we'll stop and discuss them. Is that okay with everybody?
Sure.
Okay. Again, these are the 42 affirmations of Mayat. And Mayat, as has been explained, is the feminine spirit. We're talking about the Shekinah. We're talking about the Holy Spirit here. So this is the pursuit of this truth many thousands of years ago, before there was any Bible or scripture or any type of religion at all. Okay, so this is where this is coming. That's the origin of these words. Okay.
Before you get started,
Yes, sir.
there are some who have the copy of Spirituality Before Religion.
Yes.
Would you mention where you're getting it, where it's coming from, please?
Okay, I am on page 148.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. We good? We ready? Okay. The first, okay, I have not done wrong. I have not done wrong. I have not stolen from the Creator's creation. I have not stolen from the Creator's creation. I have not acted violently. I have not acted violently. I have not killed the Creator's creation. I have not killed the Creator's creation. I have not been unjust. I have not been unjust. Those are the first five. The one thing that stuck out to me here that got me excited, I love the term Creator's creation. Does someone care to go into these a little bit and tell us what you see here, please?
Yeah. Good morning, Ron. In reference to, that comment or statement, there's two cosmic laws. And I think we spoke about them, in the past that, I am the creator having a human experience.
Uh-huh.
Also says in the second law or the second, affirmation is that I am to treat the creator's creation as I treat the creator in me. And so I think that if we are grasping, the understanding of knowing ourselves and being able to realize that we are creators, then this gives us a foundation where we can appreciate the affirmations in terms of what you're speaking about. So looking at that in terms of us being able to create, what is it that we are creating? Is it the fruits of the spirit of love, joy,
Even
peace,
though I look 30, huh?
patience?
Oh, George.
You ain't a.
Hey,
You have that. Oh, you ain't a.
phone
Hey
number
guys,
495. Phone number ending in 4. Would you please check, mute your phone? Thank you. Okay, George, please.
Yeah. So again, I was just speaking in reference to those two, two affirmations, because I think it connects to the question that you're asking now. And, hopefully that gives a little better perspective in terms of the creator's creation. And that's who we are. If that resonates, Ron, I'm done.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Indeed, it does. Thank you. Anyone else?
The first one that you read, I have not done wrong.
Yes, sir.
That is from the Egyptian Book of the Dead. It says that I have not committed sin. And the understanding of sin based upon the 42 affirmations means that I have not been out of rhythm with the universe, which is a constant reminder that we are supposed to, at all times, be in rhythm with the universe.
I like that. Yeah. That opens that up more. I think that the thing that jumped out at me when I first saw the creator's creation, the first thing we think about is people. This is saying, I'm not going to even pluck a flower if it is not necessary. I'm not going to do anything to harm. I'm one with everything. Because what didn't the creator create? What did you not create? Who are you? So I won't harm anything. I'm not going to take anything. I'm not going to kill a any type of, unless it's a threat to me or my family. Excuse me. So when I saw that, I thought about everything that lives. I'm not even going to destroy a rock. I'm not going to cut down a tree if it is not necessary. That just stuck out to me when I saw that. I thought that was special.
Well, I think the beginning, the first one that talks about basically the bottom line of the first is that I would not, I would not be out of rhythm with the universe, basically is what it's saying. If you're in rhythm with the universe, then you will respect the creation, everything that's created. As you were saying, when you kill animals for sport, or when you destroy a forest simply for profit, as opposed to for the enhancement of humanity, then you are out of rhythm with the universe, which means that you have committed a sin. So sin is not simply based upon what happens with people, it's also based upon how people we respond to the natural environment. Which in itself, incorrect response rather, which in itself is being out of rhythm with the universe. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yes.
So the rhythm keep you rolling, right? The rhythm of the universe will keep you in a state of awareness of everything that we're about to look at from the beginning to the end of these 42 affirmations.
This is
I just wanted to add something to what Ron was saying. And I mean, even if you need to pick a flower, you should do it with gratitude and thanks. I mean, because flowers and plants can be used for medicinal purposes, and like the Native Americans, when they killed for food, they always gave thanks, and they were always grateful for it. So if you do it in the right frame of mind, that is always giving gratitude to the Creator, and thanks for provision. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ron, there's well, not an example. I mean, when I was down south, some years ago, I don't know if Charles is on the, on the call, but I remember going to his house and we were shooting billiards, myself, Pastor and Charles.
That was Robbie.
I'm sorry, yeah, Robbie, I'm sorry. But we were shooting billiards, and you know how, I don't want to say a fly, it wasn't a fly, but not a gnat, but it was something that flew on the table. And at the time, your first instinct is to kill it. But, I saw, Pastor just picked it off of the table and just removed it. And again, I'm thinking about it in terms of, again, not sarcastically, but, why did he just, picked it up, very, very gently and just, moved it off, threw it off to the side and didn't kill it. But again, I'm just trying to think of it in terms of just what does that mean to you when we talk about it now in a sense of, this particular, conversation, but it just made me think a little bit or reflect in what we're saying now. And so, Pastor, I don't know if that resonates with you, Pastor, in terms of what you did, but I noticed it at that time, and I never said anything about it, to you until this time, because it just makes me think about let everything that have breath praise ye the Lord, as the scriptures say. But I just wanted to share that thought. I don't know if that any comments you may have, Pastor.
I'm not a killer.
Mm-hmm.
No, I've grown to respect all life. Now there was a time when his life would have ended, but my understanding of life now is totally different than what it was at one time. And I think that this is the whole purpose of our discussing not only what the 42 affirmations, but also everything else that we discussed to bring us to this place where we are doing inventory of self and see how much do we respect life. Is it only when it's convenient to us, or is it respecting life regardless of circumstances?
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Well, this is Richard, just as a little quick sort of humorous side. I remember an interview with the Dalai Lama once, and he was asked that kind of question: what would you do if you had a swarm of mosquitoes that was hovering around you? And he sort of laughed and said, well, I'd encourage them to go away. And I just thought that was it. You weren't going to corner this guy into saying, you know, I would have swatted them. It's just, you know, so
Yeah.
anyway, so it's,
That has
Thank-
a lot, that has a lot of depth to it. I would encourage them to go away. And the same thing happened with bees. If you desire them to go away. And if they don't, you move away because you're a threat to them. And nothing usually happens. And that again is an example of what George was talking about when he said treating the creator and others, or treating the creator and others, as well as in our environment, as we treat the creator within ourselves. That's the old adage of that we are treat others the way we want to be treated, and that's inclusive of the environment as well as us as individuals. I'm done.
Okay.
Yes,
Good
when
morning,
you go
Ron.
back to the,
Go
just
ahead,
real quick,
Audrey.
when you go back to the principle of harmony, all of that includes the environment and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, basically, based on what Audrey just said, that's kind of where I was going to, because this is Kathy. Pastor, you had said that when we're not doing these things, I think if I'm paraphrasing correctly, we sin. And I wanted, for the sake of someone who may be new on the phone and not heard us discuss this, speak of what sin is, the entanglements. When you are out of balance and out of rhythm, it's because you're entangled in something you should not be entangled in, and you're not seeing who you are. And as a result, that's what gets you out of rhythm and out of harmony with the universe. So could you speak to that for a moment, please?
Yes, when you're in harmony with the universe, you don't sin. So what is sin? Sin is when you do anything outside of the rhythm of the universe. If I sell you food and that is beneficial to you and me, which means that I exchange something with you to get food, for you to get food, then I can be in rhythm with the universe, or I can be out of rhythm with the universe. And both of them are good things. But the question becomes, how did I acquire the food that I'm selling you? And why am I selling it to you? Am I selling it to you based on greed? Or am I selling it to you based upon your need, affordability, as opposed to my being selfish about it and making sure that the price that I sell it to you for, I am able to benefit myself in ways that you would never be able to benefit yourself. In other words, greed. If greed is involved in it, it's wrong, it's a sin. If greed is not involved in it, then it is in rhythm with the universe. If selfishness is involved in anything, whether it's a relationship or whether it is interaction with people or the universe or the environment. If selfishness is involved in that, then that is a sin because you are out of rhythm with the universe. Does that make sense, Kathy?
It does, because what I was really wanting to focus on is what are you entangled in your thinking? What has driven you, or what has led you to the point of thinking, I will price gouge and sell this to you at a higher price, or even if I'm in a position to give you the food, but I sell it to you. So I can see what you're saying about greed. But I think the point that I'm making, when we're in rhythm, we are looking at the connections that we have formed to all things and the attachment that we've formed with all things and know that we are one with. When I am out of rhythm, I've formed an attachment to something that was out of rhythm in the first place, and I'm becoming one with that, and that's where I get off track. And that was the point I was wanting to make.
So why you didn't say that?
Hello?
Very funny.
No, you walked a bit better than I did. But that is very true. That is very true. It's predicated on all that what Kathy said a moment ago.
Good discussion. Anyone else?
Let me say this also. I think it's important. I stay away from what we call the cardinal sins because that limits what we understand about sin. You know, those thou shalt nots. Those things that we have learned in the church setting are very limited, and it excludes anything outside of humans. It does not include our environment. So when we were talking about the sin thing, I try purposely to avoid those cardinal sins, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'll, Pastor Richard, I'll just say for
Richard,
myself.
you have a
Oh, okay, it's because I'm too close to Audrey, I guess, and we got
Audrey.
both.
you should be okay now because she's muted.
Audrey muted?
Yeah, she muted.
Okay,
Time being.
okay, you're using the word in a different way. All right.
I know.
No, now I forgot my point, but so it must have been really important. No, I don't, the way I look at the utterances and commandments, in fact, it's a fascinating thing to me how utterance became commandment. My guess is that term wasn't used until the second five, in my mind, became either were added, clarified, or emphasized. And those are the ones, they're all the negative ones. You don't do this, don't do that, don't. So I always felt that those were for those who couldn't understand or embrace the first 4 or 5. I don't know, that's just my perspective, because making laws that are negative says a certain thing that's different from making statements about very positive and opening and inclusive kinds of things. Anyway, it's just an observation. So killing and, you know, coveting and all that to me is.
I think it's worth observing too, Richard, that these 42 affirmations deal with you. I have not, as opposed to my neighbor has not.
Well, this is the thing too. I remember way back in the beginning of the civil rights movement, the shift of the spiritual from I shall overcome to we. And I think a lot of people never understood that originally, I believe, it was I. So it was all about you and what you saw in the mirror, and then it was a collective view because it became a movement. But the I was always at the center. Yeah.
That was, Richard reminded me of something. Several years ago, I don't remember my notes or anything on commandment, because the word to me has always been sort of negative. it's almost like being forced or made to do something. But the word is used like if you planned to make this recipe, this is what you go by. You don't put the egg in before the milk. If the recipe say put the milk in first, then you put the milk in first and you stir, and this is how this is going to turn out. But if you do so, if you're going to follow this journey, if you're going to follow this path, this is what you do. So it's more of a anyone who has ear to hear this, let him hear. Or anyone who has the heart to do this, let him do it this way. And I think it got in the Old Testament, start using commandment because everything was by the law. Everything was you know, you follow this rule and or you seek these type of judgments. But that word just kind of evolved a little bit, you know, and not into something that I'm forced to do, but it is the journey that I take if I want this result, kind of thing.
I believe that these affirmations lost their effectiveness during the period when the when the Ten Commandments were written. And I say that because if you look at it from the basis of history, you will see that before the commandments were written, there was major invasion into that part of Northern Africa. And coming with that invasion, and what came with that invasion was a set of regulations that forced the inhabitants to do what the invaders wanted them to do. And as a result of that, we have commandments and laws as opposed to them being affirmations prior to that. The mindset has shifted from the responsibility of the individual to the force of the state.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Well, I think too, as an individual, it's much more positive, encouraging to give me an idea of where I should be headed, what I should be involved with, as opposed to, at least for me, certainly, maybe I have that little authority thing still on my shoulder. If you tell me what I can't do, now I'm focused on that, as opposed to an affirmation or tell me this is the way you should go. It's almost, you can feel it as a transition from a feminine to a negative kind of energy. The negative energy is sort of overtaking the feminine core, if you understand, if that makes sense.
I see, yeah, I understand clearly what you're saying. And you're speaking to, when you say an affirmation, I think, Richard, is more of a recognition or a reminder of who you are than it is to guide you on a journey. I think the journey you take is based upon who you are perceived that you are. And if I'm doing these affirmations, then these affirmations are not something from the inside. They are who I am. I have not committed violence. I have not taken advantage of creation, as opposed to thou shalt not take advantage of creation. So this is more of reminding me that these affirmations are not something external to me. They are who I am. Does that make sense?
Well, I understand okay, it's a discussion, I guess. I understand the logic. I just think it's, Sharia law, I always understood can be very extreme sounding because nobody's ever supposed to get to that point. Now, you could say, so why did you sort of tempt the situation by making such strict codes? Well, maybe, I don't know what those reasons were. I don't know enough about Islam, but you were never supposed to get near it. So it was never going to be an issue. So I sort of think the second 5 was kind of like that, but then again, I just feel the heavy-handedness of somebody, of something trying to keep you in line and let you know there are punishments if you don't. And I just think that undermines and distracts from, let's say, the first 5. But that's a, what's the Jewish term we back at Foundation when we used to want to argue about stuff? Nishla? I can't remember. Maybe it's that kind of discussion. Anyway, that's, yeah, I'm talking about the 10 Commandments, whether you call them affirmations, or I was just the transition, if you want, in terminology from affirmation to commandment, which changes the energy dramatically in my mind. It's just like your parent. Yeah, it's like your parents telling you, you will not do that. Now, what are 9/10 of us on this phone, or at least me, and I think another person named Richard would go, oh, really? Why not? What's in that? I got to find out about that. Right. So as opposed to, anyway.
I think
Just how I feel about them.
I think if things continue to go the way they're going and be steered by what this country is trying to do, the commandments will come back as to the demanding and the thou shalt not, because there is a movement that's clearly defining what Christianity should be, and
well, Ron,
that version is not inclusive of everyone, and it's even more distorted from the religious version that it is now. So,
Ron, I would say they never left. Look at our penal system. It's not rehabilitative, it's punishment.
Yeah.
Right? So if anything, what you're saying, or the way I would accept what you're saying is, yeah, we're headed toward a point where they will be reformed as they were as commandments because there's a political agenda attached to it.
Yeah.
Right?
Most definitely.
Yeah. But they've always been there. That's part of our problem, I think. Internally, you might grow to a point where, let's say, you want more things that are affirmative or guidance, like not, authoritative.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think that what we're looking at more so are the commandments as opposed to the affirmations, and it is my understanding that the commandments coming after the affirmations were more of a rule of law as put forth by those who were in power, whether it be the priests or whether it be self-appointed king or the king who was appointed. They became more of a negative control mechanism. So I think looking at the affirmations helps us to see what they were supposed to be in the beginning as opposed to what they became. And I think that if we can look at least 3 or 4 of the 8 commandments that we know came specifically from the 42 affirmations, we will be able to see more clearly the spiritual connotations of them, if that makes any sense to you guys.
Yes, sir, it does. You said something though that I'd like to comment on. We have, as religion has changed the meaning of everything. Suppose originally the commandments were not supposed to be that way at all, what we're describing. And the corruption of man and that same greed and selfishness and manipulation that we're talking about, what made it that way. For example, if we are pursuing truth, what we are doing is joining ourselves to everything that is living, and we are erasing time. So if you look at it that way, from the beginning of time, commandments were necessary. It was. What do I mean by that? You have a baby. As a toddler, those toddlers have rules, and those rules change until that baby reaches a place of maturity, and then that baby sees that all those rules and everything help to shape his or her character and make them into who and what they are. So the rules are necessary when you don't know any better, when you have no idea of who you are and what life's about. But once that is being shaped in you, or once you begin to shape it yourself, probably a better way of putting it, then those rules and things just kind of go by the wayside. But hopefully they have helped you establish your value system and help you to see and guide those decisions that you have to make in life. And I think looking at it that way, just using that as an example, maybe that was the original intent of the commandments, the 10 commandments, until such a time that you see that you are Elohim. And I understand that, and I understand what that means. And I think that's we totally just kind of screwed all that up, actually. Religion has, anyway. Does that make sense?
I think it's hard to separate religion from government. Because if you look at the scriptures, they were intertwined. There was no separate entity in that part of the world as government and religion. In other parts of the world, like for example, there's the Roman government, there's the Greco government, but there was not a governmental agency in this part of the world. I think what changed it all, based upon the history of it, is the invasions. So it wasn't that we screwed it up as much as we were put in the position where we didn't have a choice. If you don't do it our way, then you will watch your children die. That was especially real with the Catholic Church. That's how they did it. So what I am saying is this: in order for us to get the true essence of what they were supposed to mean and to be to us in terms of guidance, in terms of a mirror to show us who we are, we have to go back to the original. And the original is not the 10 Commandments. The original are the 42 affirmations. And it is imperative that we look at them before we get to taking another look at these 10 Commandments. Can you see what I'm making an effort to say?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I get it. I'll be quiet because it's just a discussion, conversation, or I guess today I'm feeling a little argumentative. I don't know. So I'll just sit on that.
well, that's
But-
okay. It's okay to feel that way.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't stop that. But I mean, I don't have to bore other people on the phone with it. I can do that on my own later. Take it out on Audrey. But anyway, yeah, I'm just fascinated that, what am I, 77? I never heard about affirmations till last year. It's, and you talk about we, and I understand what you're saying, my people sort of thing, Africans and all that. And I'm like, who did that to you? People who look like me. So we came with that already in our hearts, if you want to say it that way, So how do we get, what happened to us? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're looking at it from, I get it. You can look at it from the standpoint of, just for the sake of conversation, I'll just say your people will make the division. And I'm sitting here going, what the hell? What happened? Why did my people have to take the opposite side of this thing? Or why couldn't I have been on your side? Let somebody else feel, This is the way it is.
And that's the whole, and as you clearly understand, and you're right. However, I'm also saying that when we look at the affirmation, it is beneficial. And to use your term, my people as well as yours, because both of us right now are in the same boat when we look at it overall. Because the African right now is more in tune to religion than it is to spirituality in terms of the way life is lived by the African nation that resides in the borders of the United States. And this is the nation that must take take the lead in dealing with and understanding of the origins of the history of our spirituality itself. Why? Because we are in the belly of the whale. We are not a colony that was colonized. We were brought into a situation where those who colonized the Native Americans did not colonize us in this country. They brought us here as labor force without knowing that what they were actually doing was bringing a nation within the confines of a nation that was going to be the downfall to the whole world if they were not checked. So here we are in the belly of the whale, and it is our responsibility as well as our known objective to bring to the place of understanding the 42 affirmations, because these 42 affirmations are not just for those of African descent. These 42 affirmations are for humanity in totality. And if we stick with the 10 commandments in religion, then we lose the essence, the effectiveness, the opportunity to bring harmony to humanity, thus bringing harmony to the earth as well, as Audrey stated earlier. So that's the reason I say that I do believe that we look at, if we look at these 42 affirmations for what they are, what it actually does, it revitalizes or renews the energy that shows us who we are, meaning that we become more accustomed to looking into the mirror of change, so that we can see the need for change, but more importantly, can see what we ought to be. So we are not so much changing into something different, but we are becoming more aware of who we were from the beginning. And the change, it didn't change who we were when we were indoctrinated or when we were brainwashed into accepting this way of life. This is for everyone. It's not just for the African. If the most spiritual people on this earth are Africans, then it is the responsibility of the African to make sure that spirituality is the prevailing force in the earth. And that means that we are responsible for making sure that these affirmations become a part of everyone's life. Not saying that you should read them twice a day, but I am saying that when they are in the macro, they become a part of life more than we know. And when you mentioned the Sharia law, this was long before Islam. Islam is no different than Christianity, and Christianity is no different than Judaism, and you can go all the way down the line. All of these are actually serve as the bastardization of spirituality by virtue of creating a self-righteous religion in this in denying the validity or denying the power of spirituality in the course of doing things. So I do believe once we deal with these 42 affirmations, 14 days after we finish these affirmations, I guarantee you, we will see a major shift in everything on this earth. I'm done.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to read I stopped at number 5, y'all. I'm going to read a couple more here, and we'll continue the discussion, okay? I have not caused pain to the Creator's creation. I have not caused pain to the Creator's creation. I have not defiled the holy places. I have not defiled the holy places. I have not lied. I have not lied. I have not wasted food. I have not wasted food. I have not spoken evil. I have not spoken evil. Okay, that's 5 more that I've just read here. I think, George, you touched on the holy places on yesterday. That jumped out at me too. Anyone questions or comments, or anybody want to open these up a little bit? Pastor, the other book that you have, excuse me, I'm sorry, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, they read differently to you there?
Yes, they do.
Now, well, let me ask you this. Do you think that is closer to the original language that you have in front of you?
I don't.
Okay, okay.
I think the translators of it translated it based upon the academic and / religious projection or their own thoughts of what it should have been. For example, one of them says that I have not committed robbery with violence. That's not what that says. It said I committed violence. You see what I'm talking about?
Yes, yes. Okay.
Yeah. And also, Ron, when you mentioned in reference to the lie, I have not lied.
Yes.
That's one of the 8 affirmations that are listed with regards to it being plagiarized in terms of the 10 commandments. And so again, just to do the 8, and we'll come back to that, Ron, but it's, again, it talks about I have not killed, I have not committed adultery. I have not stolen. Okay. And it mentioned I have not lied. I have not spoke against, again, I apologize. Let me just come back for a minute. I will not bear false witness, against thy neighbor. And it goes on, and I'm just giving you 8 now. And then it, speaks in reference to, I have not, covered against thy neighbor. And it mentioned, I have not, and again, just, again, I'm just trying not to memorize it, but it just, basically speaks about that one that you spoke about that did not say I will not, or I shall not, or thou shalt not, when it talks about I should remember and observe the appointed holy days. Now, that was the only one, in terms of when I was reading from the 42 affirmations that did not say I will not. And then it just spoke in reference to adultery. So some of the things that you're listening from the book, is out of that 8, that I just wanted to mention now. And like I said, and we can come back, to it as we need to. But one of them, I will not lie, and that was saying I will not bear false witness, against thy neighbor. So I just wanted to mention that just as an overview, and we can come back to. I'm done.
I think the ones that jump out to me, George, like this one, these numbers 6 and 7 says, I have not caused pain to the Creator's creation. Again, not just looking at people. I think what is in First Corinthians talks about the whole earth groans waiting for man to get this thing right. That's not how it said, but you know what I mean. So causing pain is something I think mankind does without taking in consideration all that lives, all that the Creator has created. We don't take consideration of each other, let alone other living things and the environments and so that one kind of stuck out to me the defiling the holy places. I think about this body that we live in, that when we recognize who we are and some of the things we do and go through so it's not just talking about a building or something that we stick a sign on and say it's holy. These affirmations have much stronger meanings than that, and just a couple of things that kind of stick out to me.
Ron, maybe I missed it. Did we already, of the 42, did we already highlight the ones that correlate to the commandments? Number 8, number this.
No, George was just mentioning them because some of them do. He was just mentioning, but no, we haven't highlighted them or anything.
Well, I'm not trying to take away from the discussion or where it's going, but just for me, at least before the end of the session, it'd be nice to either have covered them or know clearly what we're talking about. In other words, the 10 correspond to number blah, 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 right? I don't know. That's just my
Okay.
the way I'm organized.
Yeah, we can.
do that, George. There's
Yeah, we can.
the correlation now.
Okay, then. All right. Yeah. For an example, let's look at the first one, thou shalt not kill. Okay, that is the first one that basically was taken from the 42 affirmations. Okay, the second one.
Whoa. So
Okay.
thou shalt not kill. So what is which affirmation was it taken from?
Okay, that was taken from number 6 in the King James Version is actually verse number 13.
No, George, that's what I'm asking. Because
go ahead.
what happens is in the book Spirituality Before Religion, they are numbered differently than what they are in the order in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. The numbers are different. So what I'm asking is, when you say thou shalt not kill, that's one of the quote unquote commandments. So which one of the affirmations does that correlate with?
Okay, then let me just go down.
It looks like number 4, George.
Yeah.
I have not killed the Creator's creation.
Yes. Okay, because I was looking at another book, but in reference around what you have, that's number 4. I have not killed the Creator's creation. Okay, that's the first one. The second one was thou shalt not commit adultery. And Ron, you might can get to it right quickly because I just kind of noted it on another piece of paper.
Yeah,
Thou shalt not commit adultery.
there's look at number 21. I have not disrespected another woman's husband. Number 20 said, I have not disrespected another man's wife.
Yes.
That's with adultery. See, Joy, I don't want you to do the numbers.
Okay.
Because the numbers are different in different books. I want you to do the message. What does it say? What is the third one?
Okay. Thou shalt not kill, we talked about. Is it
Right.
correct? Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Right.
Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against. Thou shalt not bear false witness.
So that is, I have not lied.
Yes.
I have not lied.
Okay, and again, the next one is thou shalt not lie. So in the 42 affirmations, those were the 2 that had some similarity.
Okay, now in the 42 affirmations, There's one that says, I have not lied. And then there's one that says, have not, I have not bear false
Bear
witness.
false witness, yes.
So I guess both of those.
Yes, we're similar, and that's the way I just wanted to get to the point that one, we talked about 5 already. Okay, and so the number 6. I'm sorry, no numbers.
Excuse me.
Go ahead, Barbara.
Excuse me. I'm getting confused with the conversation in general when we're trying to cross-reference and all of that. It makes sense to me to just do the affirmations.
Okay, I agree, Barb. I withdraw my inquiry if that's causing a distraction.
No. And you guys are really helping me because I appreciate what Pastor was saying. Just, again, read the affirmations. Is that correct?
Yes.
But my other point is this. When you say thou shalt not kill, and the affirmation says, I have not killed, blah, 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 blah.
The creator's creation.
But that also means I've not slain someone, reputation, et cetera, et cetera. So there are other affirmations that can feed into the killing in a sense.
Yeah.
And I just don't want us to, to forget that when we talk about what's killing and slaying, et cetera, it's deeper than that. That's the only point I'm trying to make. And when we try to plug it into the 10 Commandments, that might not provide depth.
I can see that. I agree with you, Barbara. Let's just do the affirmation, George.
Okay.
Without the 10 Commandments.
Okay, you want me to do the 8 affirmations? Is that correct?
No. I want you to do the affirmations, period. Don't even think about the 10 Commandments. Just go through the affirmations.
Yeah, and I agree with Pastor. Not everybody's got the book or has the page open, so yeah, let's run the list, and then we can have a discussion. Trying to do it all.
Okay.
I said I withdraw my distraction here. Okay.
No, well, I appreciate the opportunity of just being able to, just share what I. Here's the affirmations. Thou shalt not kill, nor bid anyone killed. Thou shalt not commit adultery or rape. Thou shalt not avenge thyself. Thou shalt not cause terror. Thou shalt not assault anyone.
Where are these? What are we reading?
Where are you reading those from?
Okay, I'm reading this from the book on the commandments of ancient Egypt.
Okay, that's the Egyptologist. That's the Egyptologist translation of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the confusion comes, because the original 40 affirmations do not say "thou shalt not." It say "I have not."
Okay, so if I read it from the Book of the Dead, okay, I have not committed sin.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, I have not committed robbery with violence. I have not stolen. I have not slain men or women. I have not stolen food. I have not swindled offerings. I have not stolen from God or goddess. I have not told lies. I have not carried away food. I have not cursed. I have not closed my ears to truth. I have not committed adultery. I have not made anyone cry. I have not felt sorrow without reason. I have not assaulted anyone. I am not deceitful. I have not stolen anyone's land. I have not been an eavesdropper. I have not falsely accused anyone. I have not been angry without reason. I have not seduced anyone's wife. I have not polluted myself. I have not terrorized anyone. I have not disobeyed the law. I have not been exclusively angry. I have not cursed gods. I have not cursed God or goddess. I have not behaved with violence. I have not caused disruption of peace. I have not acted hastily or without thought. I have not overstepped my boundaries of concern. I have not exaggerated my words when speaking. I have not worked evil. I have not used evil thoughts, words, or deeds. I have not polluted the water. I have not spoken angrily or arrogantly. I have not cursed anyone in thought, word, or deeds. I have not placed myself on a pedestal. I have not stolen what belongs to God or goddess. I have not stolen from or disrespected the deceased. I have not taken food from a child. I have not acted with violence. I have not acted with insolence. And the last, I have not destroyed property belonging to God or goddesses. Those were the 42 affirmations that I read. And that was from, again, the Book of the Dead. I'm done.
Okay.
Now, in those were those 8. Look.
So what we're talking about is virtue, gratitude, being peaceful, respecting property, affirming that all life is sacred, giving offerings in a genuine way. Talked about I live by the truth. I respect all altars. I'm sincere in my life journey. So I only consume my fair share, meaning I don't take anything from anybody. So this is speaking to the way we are supposed to be, not only be, but become. That in itself, it brings about harmony. If I were to speak to those in a clearer language that we understand, that's what I'm seeing. When I was saying I have not taken more than my fair share, I offer words of good intent, and I relate to everyone in peace. I honor animals with reverence. I can be trusted. I care for the earth. I keep my own counsel. I speak positively of others. I remain in balance with my emotions. I am trustful in my relationships. I hold purity in high esteem. I spread joy. I do the best I can. I communicate with compassion. I listen to opposing opinions. I create harmony. I invoke laughter. I am open to love in various forms. I am forgiving. I am kind. I act respectfully. I am accepting. I follow my inner guidance. I converse with awareness. I do good. I give blessings. I keep the waters pure. I speak with good intent. I praise the goddess and the God. I am humble. I achieve with integrity. I advance through my own abilities. I embrace the all. And the all is what? Truth itself. Does that make sense? Is that clear? Say again? I can't hear you, Audrey.
Well, Audrey's asking, what was the source or version that you were reading?
I went to the internet and I
Right.
found it on I Googled the 42 affirmations, and what came up was the affirmations of Kemet. That's what I found.
Yeah, it's on the kemetexperience.com. I think I'm looking at the same one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I wanted to say that just to emphasize more of the distinction between a commandment and an affirmation. These are things that in the, well, we call it the Book of the Dead, but the more correct translation, just like some of these affirmations were more correctly translated, the book would be called the Book of the Coming Forth by Day. So it is what happens when you leave the physical experience and you sort of re-interface with the spiritual planes, which is where we will all be traveling after we leave this physical experience. So this is a way of describing how you have recognized that how you must act if you want to be in line with or vibrating with the very origin of our own sense of self and experience. So the affirmation is something that you recognize you must do because of the nature of spirit, the nature of truth, the nature of the creator, and the nature of our own journey to understand who and what we are. So rather than you doing something just because you're told to do it, you recognize that these are things that allow you to vibrate or to be connected to spirit or the creator. To not do these things is to essentially to close yourself off within a perhaps like a bubble of your own selfish ego in order to satisfy whatever that selfish ego is. And in so doing, you cannot attain or seek after truth because you are basically busy distracting yourself from what truth is. So these affirmations are things you recognize that you must do, or that these are things that must be done in order to attain that truth that you seek, which requires you to let go of your sort of sense of selfishness in whatever aspect you may recognize it within yourself. So if you are outside of the physical body and you are giving an account in some sense of your behavior to the guides and spiritual counsels who look over this physical experience and who look over your own progress, perhaps for lack of a better word, this is the account of things that you would have recognized about yourself that you needed to do or did in order to make progress along this spiritual path that we find ourselves on. So I hope that made sense. Thank you.
It does it makes a world of sense. For those of you who, as I and many others were confused a few minutes ago, I hope what we read is clearer, and the purpose of going through these affirmations is not to prove that someone else was wrong or someone else was right. The express purpose is to paint a picture of who we are and the attributes that we are to exhibit, not because somebody told us to do it, but because that's who we are. And when these attributes are lived or exhibited or reflective of our innermost being, that is when we begin to see harmony take hold in the world. That is when we began to see the demise of all of those attitudes that are perpetuators of confusion, anger, and greed. So just like everything else that we have done, we are obligated to make clear or clearer the different steps along this journey. And this is definitely an extremely important place to be and to understand. For me, it is far more clearer than the Ten Commandments were. And it's just like anything else. If you want to understand what a word means, you go to the original, go to the origin of the word. If you want to understand what the history of enslavement about, you cannot go to the coast of the Atlantic Ocean. You have to go to the origin of enslavement. If you want to know who you are, you have to go to the origin of your being. And when we go to the origin of our being, of our existence, the first thing we see in terms of our existence are these affirmations, these words of affirming to ourselves who we are and how we are to respond from within as opposed to from without, which means that we are not supposed to get upset with someone because of what they said. We are to realize that they really don't necessarily know who they are. We are not to lord this over people who are steeped in religion. Our responsibility is to live such a way or to be expressive in a manner that will cause them to desire to inquire as to what we're talking about or the source of our understanding. Does this make sense?
Okay.
This is the importance of it. This is what we must do in order for us to be the preservers of humanity. Without preserving humanity, nothing else matters. Nothing matters, because it's not within the purview of the lion or the tiger to dominate the earth. It is in the hands and under the authority of those who were created as humans, those who were brought into this earth, Elohim having a human experience. We, right here, these 42 tells us what that looks like. Questions or comments? Would you mute your phones, please? Would you make sure your phones are muted? Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Reverend Richard or Mr. George, in the laws, not laws yet, the things that you read to the group, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill. Were those laws implemented because that's what was taking place in the beginning, or were those laws implemented so it doesn't take place? If you understand what I'm saying, Mr. George or Reverend Richard, or you don't understand?
I understand.
Go ahead, Pastor.
You understand, George? You got it?
Yes, I do. And I think this is, what we were talking about originally, in terms of, Mayat being the embodiment of the earliest writings in terms of instructions, and in terms of spiritual understanding. And in these morals and these values, it was just that which was written for the purpose of giving guidance in reference to us being able or to understand how to be one and how to appreciate, what I would look at as the principle of polarity. And I don't, want to deviate off of what you just asked, George, but I think it's something similar to what Nick was saying yesterday when he spoke about the Kabbalion, in reference to the 7 principles of Ma'at and the 7, principles in terms of the Kabbalion, in terms of Ma'at and Tahuti. And again, and I don't want to go totally off, course of what you're speaking, but I think it has its relevance, George, where these were morals and values that needed to be shared with humanity. Does that help, George or Pastor? You may want to add.
Well,
Let me add
well,
something. I want to add something.
my bad. Go.
The thou shalt nots did not come into play. They were not existing during the Ma'at. Jesus said, if I go, I will send you a comforter, one who will guide you, teach you, guide you in all of truth. The comforter being a teacher, the comforter being the Holy Spirit. Jesus could have just as easily said, Haru said, if I go, I will send you a comforter, Ma'at, instead of saying the Holy Spirit, who will guide you in all truth. The same thing. However, the thou shalt nots did not come into play until thousands of years after the initial writings of these principles that we were talking about. So what we are saying, at least what I hope we are saying, is that thou shalt nots are negative commandments. They do not encourage you to be who you are. They seek to tell you what you cannot do, because if you do it, you're going to be punished. These experiences of the 42 tells us who we are. It's not talking about what we shall not do. It's talking about who we are. It's saying that I'm not a liar. I'm not a thief. I'm not a murderer. I'm not an adulterer. I'm not any of those things. I do not take more than what I need to exist in this earth. I don't steal land from anyone. I don't pollute the waters. I make sure that the earth stays pristine, that kind of thing. Those things that you were mentioning in terms of the thou shalt nots, they do not deal with any of that at all, those things that I first mentioned. So again, if you want to be guided by truth, then you have to go to the first mentioning of these principles. And these principles are thousands of years older than the 10 Commandments are. The 10 Commandments came into existence after the invasion, after the Northern Africa was invaded. And these are during the process, rather, of Northern Africa being invaded. And the shape that they took that is different than the principles is because of who was doing the invasion. It is no different than the Black Codes. It is a religious version of the Black Codes, telling us what we cannot do. This is a religious version of those codes. It is for the express purpose of making an effort to control the thought processes and the desires of an individual, as opposed to reminding that individual that you are responsible for yourself. And being responsible for yourself, these are the principles that exist within you. And abiding by these principles that exist within you gives you a deeper responsibility for your journey. And it also keeps you in harmony with the universe, with humanity, and with the earth itself. Does that make sense? George Watson.
Oh, I thought that was a question to everyone. Forgive me. Some parts of it, Reverend Richard, it makes sense. Some parts I can't say if it makes sense because I just don't understand it. I will say,
George, can you articulate what you don't understand? Because if you don't understand it, someone else doesn't as well.
Talking to me, Reverend Richard?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I was saying some parts of it I do understand. Some parts of it I don't understand because I just don't know enough about it. I just will say that in my own experience, I think it's best that when I go into an arena, I need to know the rules and the layout and the laws of that arena. And some rules you may have to make up as you go along. However, I do find it quite favorable to go into an arena and know what the rules are or how you maneuver. Thank you very much. That's it.
You are the arena. And the arena of which the guidance for the arena that you are these principles, these 42 principles that keeps you in harmony with all the people around you, as well as everything on this earth. You are that arena. When you walk into a church, the rules in that church are different. So if you believe that Jesus, if you believe anything that Jesus said, then you understand that water baptism ended with John the Baptist, and spiritual baptism begun with Jesus' teachings. That is clearly stated in the scriptures. So if you walk into the what you call an arena called the church, and you say what I just said, then you have a choice. You can abide by the version that is made up by religion, or you can abide by the truth. The truth is water baptism ended with the baptism of Jesus. John clearly said that I baptize with water, but one comes who will baptize with the Holy Spirit. He clearly said that. And after that baptism, it was a continuous mentioning of the baptism of the Holy Spirit by way of Jesus' teachings. So the question is, are you going to cast your lot with being water baptized as opposed to believing that there is a spiritual baptism? That's the difference between accepting the edicts of religion and the reality of the truth. Does that make sense? Is that clearer?
A little bit better, Reverend Richard. I'll get there. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anyone else? I think the discussion has been most rewarding, even though we went through a period of confusion. I'm sure that, at least I hope anyway, that the confusion that you may have had earlier has been cleared up. And if it has not, please address it now before we get off the line.
I was just looking up some numbers here. After you read them and George read them and then you read them, because I've been reading them too. But that last version you read caused me to look at it a little differently. Two, as we know, there are 42 of these, and whether you talk about six being the number of man, 4 talks about government and authority and governing something. 2 talks about witness and even division and being able to discern. So you pull all this together as you read these. Instead of looking at them as something that I have to read every day, I see them as the affirmation of I am who I say that I am, and my journey. I hate to use the word force, but it causes me to look internally to see who I am. So I am in constant touch with myself spiritually, and the two again being the witness of who I have committed myself to be. So I see this again as the internal journey of truth, and not just me trying to memorize something. Could my one of my original thoughts anyway was why 42? How did we arrive at that? So just pulling those numbers together, I guess kind of helps me anyway. Kind of helps understand what we just read. Makes sense more to what we just read.
What do the numbers mean to you, Ron?
Well, as I'm saying, the numbers cause you to look at yourself internally. Like I said, 2 is witnessing. It means to discern something. It means to divide. So you are making the division is I have decided who I want to be. And when you start looking at those things, I have decided that I'm not going to do anybody wrong, that I'm not going to harm nature. So these are the affirmations are constantly vibrating in me, and that is the witness. It is constantly vibrating in me because it is a decision that I have made. That decision, along with my desire, has caused these to take life in me, take form in me, and move me in that direction. So that's what I see, and as I try to look at these and understand them.
Thank you.
Does that make sense at all?
It does.
Again, are there any questions? Because I hope that we didn't confuse anybody earlier.
I just want to make sure that if there was confusion, that it was cleared up, and if not, please express that.
Thank you. For the confusion for me has been cleared up, because rather than trying to fit these into the boxes of the 10 Commandments, which we're not, because these go back beyond the 10 Commandments. So that helped me in terms of going back to even the origin of that which the confining 10 Commandments were taken. So that it frees me instead of confines me. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Maybe a good place to take a pause. Couple things. It's for the teachers, pastoring the teachers. It's the first Sunday of the month, so we have a Zoom call today with California at 3. Let's take note of that. And I got a text from Roy. He wanted a couple of minutes this afternoon before we got off the line. Roy, do you want me to stop the recording?
It doesn't make a difference.
Okay.
Well, if it's pertaining specific stuff
Yeah.
to the lesson, then we need to stop recording. Pramil?
If the discussion is